What's up, guys? Deadlock guy here. Just kidding, it's back paper. This is recorded because going live right now. I don't know. I'm kind of chilly anyway, but that's not besides the point. Deadlock update 11/07/2024. Currently the 8th in Australia, so I'm not too far from it. 1:31 p.m. This should happen 4 hours ago. Oh, I shouldn't swear, but don't worry about it. We're past the first 10 seconds. Maybe that's enough. Okay. So I haven't looked at any of this at all. All I know is that there's one Trapper hero added to Hero Labs, and that's it. So let's get into it. Let me give you my first impressions, honest takes, analysis, etc. I wouldn't describe myself as an amazing player, but I would describe myself as having my finger on a little bit of the pulse, and I'm an active player certainly. So my opinion is worth less than zero. I mean more than zero. Yeah. Trapper Hero Labs. Hero Labs heroes, there's not really any point in analyzing them. Your feedback is going to be all individual based, you should give it to the developers on the Discord and in whatever form you want. So I think that's just purely what you need to do. Because there's no point in me giving this take here. I don't want to influence people. Also, I don't know it because I don't play Hero Labs right now. Because I'm trying to get my rank up, not my funny up, if you get me. Yes, and they added sandbox support for Hero Labs, which means that people would actually play them and test them on their own as well as in that short window, because I couldn't see them in sandbox, which was fun. So these are all good. And of course, adjustments to all that. But this is all if the game is an alpha, this shit is pre-alpha. So they'll be continuing to cook on that, keep going. Added quick buy. You cannot right-click items in the shop to add them to your quick buy queue. When you return to the shop, you will automatically purchase them in your set order. An indicator will light up, and you can change it to use a hotkey rather than auto purchase. This is great because as soon as it's great quality of life, because as soon as you know who you're laning against, you almost always know what order you want items in most of the time. Like if I see a lane where I'm just like, okay, this is gonna be, I'm gonna be in the mixer a lot, I want to stay in the lane, I might buy extra regen first thing up and before, and I'll switch up my order a bit. Sometimes you want to buy Mystic Burst immediately, sometimes you don't worry about it so much, etc, etc. Depends on who and what you're playing. So that's all that. Very great. We love to see new quality of life, things you didn't know you needed. Pre-compiling on dashboard to improve loading times and reduce hitching. We love performance improvements, of course, all work in progress. We love to see a visual indicator for builds that shows the prevalent type of item. Seems great to me. When you're browsing it, I assume it's in the build thing up there. Recent purchases logged to the shop. All items bought by players ordered by most recent. So can you see what the enemy team is buying in there as well? I mean, you can see it anyway by just holding tab and hovering them, but if it's an easier way to see it at a glance, that's chill. Steam game recording, it's out of beta, so everyone will be using it, so this is great. And I'm sorry if I'm speaking. I'm speaking a bit loudly because I got an air conditioner. It's very loud. Don't worry about it. You may not be able to hear it too much, but if you can, it is what it is. Checkbox in settings to force the game to take focus when unpaused. Yeah, I see that. I never mind it. I remember how that works. Dude, hover party members on dashboard to view their roster. Surprised it wasn't definitely beginning, but then again, it is in beta or alpha or whatever. Active reload, etc. I mean, these are all minor stuff. Added social tab to settings dialog with streamer mode and content filtering settings. Good. Figure that all works. Bunch of fixes. Hover tooltip description to stats. I needed this because almost all the time I'm like, what is this? This is missed vulnerability. This is glass cannon. This is a lot. So I like to see it. And temporary stat increases are permanent, but permanent stat increases are temporary in terms of view, which makes sense. Rename mouse with a chat wheel and a bunch of input support. Okay, gameplay. Troopers no longer change soul sharing after laning Ace Fen, meaning two heroes don't split souls. Hold on, let me think about this. Troopers no longer change soul sharing rules after laning phase ends. Meaning two heroes don't split souls. Ah, okay. So it's you're gonna share your souls when you're in the same area anyway, regard not as if it was before, where it would stay the same. In the lane you would share them, and afterwards it wouldn't be the case. That makes sense. Okay, that's chill. Very chill. Troopers will increase the bounty by 20% at 8 minutes. It does. It did seem like it was a bit like too valuable to farm the to farm waves upon waves rather than jungle at certain points, depending on your character as well, of course. Neutral creeps now give 5% less souls. Interesting that they give that, but hero kill gold, I assume they mean souls, because there's no such thing as gold, is buffed by a fairly significant amount. Looks like the scaling is very, so they're really valuing kills a little bit more. I think they're finding this balance between making it about fighting people and making it about the MOBA elements of, like, you know, the top-down farming, etc. I don't think it's good to value kills a little bit. It was already like that at the early game, because if you get a few kills early, it didn't matter in terms of your souls, but it ended up losing you an objective. So you found out it ended up being kind of weird, because you would win your lane, but your soul count would not really be different, and so you would be kind of, it wouldn't feel that way. It wouldn't reflect the way that it looked. You know what I mean? So I think this is a good change to shift souls towards a little bit of kill reward to kind of redistribute the way things work. Now this does nerf characters that don't get kills as much, but I think it'll pan out the same either way. This may also make it more natural for certain heroes to be carries, etc. Like a Shiv will obviously farm kills way easy just because of the abilities. So, you know, maybe Shiv will be naturally farmed up all the time, something like this. Okay, troopers not taking more damage from guardians. That makes sense, just so that they don't kill waves so slowly. It was a bit slow. Also, when you're coming back to a lane, you kind of, but it also is a bit of a nerf because you want troopers to not take that much damage from a guardian, so that you can get the last hits sometimes when you're coming back. So it's kind of, you know, it's a bit here, it's a bit there. Focus damage versus players increase a little bit. It's only a big deal in the early game. Prevent you from rushing it alone early without your troopers. Guardians focus on players if enemy player shoots a hero and the enemy player is within 50 meters of the guardian. That's a big change. So the way it worked before is that you could, if they would just shoot your troopers, and you could focus a hero behind or like around an enemy guardian, and the guardian wouldn't really do much apart from body block, right? Now the guardian actually defends the player there, which is kind of sick. It means the early game you won't have to play fully passive, because you'll be able to aggress on people who are pushing you much easier, because someone who's pushing up onto your guardian is gonna get targeted by the guardian, and you'll be able to get the focus on the troopers, focus on everything else, and, you know, it takes attention off of you a little bit, because they can't be as aggressive because they're gonna be hit, and guardians do a lot of damage early game, put to players as well. So I like that. Moved neutral camps from outside outer lanes to in between inner and outer lanes. I think this is a great change, so that you can actually, it's a transitional period. Like, if you can go from the inner lane to the middle lane, that you can see here, the ones that were basically on the very outer rim, where you would have to take the outer lane and then jump out and jump in. So now it makes sense, because you can kind of do it on the way. So like, if you want to go defend the walker here and you're on this lane, you can go this way, jump here, take him, and then go. And I think it's a pretty good change, because these are like some of the best ones to farm. Give you good souls. Pretty much anyone can farm them. It doesn't take too long, like the big ones that you can't do unless you're farmed up or you already have a certain character. So I think this is a good place. Added cosmic veils to ground floor entrances to mid. Vision looking in, but block vision looking out. I see. So if you're doing mid, you don't know if someone's out there to try and steal it, unless you have someone out there. Everyone needs, so your position needs to change a bit. You need to have a guy up top, like scouting a bit maybe. Biased earned delivery locations are slightly closer to neutral. That's fair. I think it was a bit too easy to come back a bit. I think it's fair, but it also does mean it's if you're losing really badly, you may be permanently fucked because the earn is just not going to be easy ever. But let's see how different it is. Redesigning this stuff, I mean, this is stuff that you can only look at visually. Let's not think about it too much. I'm not going to view the .mp4 because I'm afraid of clicking links, but you can go inside and check it yourself. Actually, wait, hold on. Okay, there is a way for me to do this. I just wasn't logged into the forums. Okay, so there's just a stairway path there now. Oh, okay. Oh, let me not the most astute of video players. But okay, you can go back there. That's like an insane time save because previously you would have to do like a dance around and everything. That's very chill. Very easy to get there now. To deny earns. So I see the positioning as well. That makes sense. Respawn curve. You take longer to die sooner, which seems reasonable. Walker armor loss over time happens a little bit longer. Walkers were falling a bit too easy. Trooper spirit resist is weaker. Mid-boss rejuve trooper health buff. That makes sense because I think it was a little bit like you didn't feel it as much. And this is like tertiary knowledge because I didn't play Dota that much. But I believe Dota has like tiers of creeps, right? You got the super strong creeps in the back with when you push forwards. So this may be like an imitation of that. I think that's fair. Okay, a bunch of visual ones. Bodega. These changes were included early, but I mean that's all chill. Okay, weapon items and balance changes. I know there's talent nerfs, so I'm gonna cry. Close quarters now grants bullet resist instead of bullet shield health. And a restorative shot as well grants you the bullet shield. I think this makes sense because if you get a bullet resist and your restorative shot is what gets you like if you think about it dynamically speaking, right? Sustained fire for close quarters, whereas restorative shot giving you resist means that the regenerated health you take is also resisted. So like if you think about it that way, the value is better. Procs on orb shots for NPC heal value. That's I think, is that a nerf or like a neutral change? I don't remember if restorative shot just procced and did nothing there, or if I think it did waste the shot. So this is technically a buff in the sense that you get more consistent value even if you miss or you can't target enemy heroes with it. Okay, more melee charge nerfs. It'll still be valuable because it does one thing very well, and that's melee. Long range. It now grants more weapon damage and the long range damage is nerfed, so it's more of a overall buff. I think like your mid range is a bit better, but you won't be exclusively limited to long range. That's fair. Berserker is a bit better. It's a very underbought item, Berserker, so I think that's also fair. Active reload with health. Don't think it was necessary, but it's also kind of underbought. I think. Slowing bullets buff. We love to see that. I have slowing bullets in my Bebop build that I just made. Sharpshooter, it's the same tweak as above for long range, which is fine. Alchemical fire and grant you sprint. Alchemical fire has some. It's the purple Molotov that you see in your games. It can have value. I think it's good to have sprint because you want to be a little bit more mobile when you're casting like these utility items. I think that's fair. Heroic aura buff, intensifying mag buff. We love to see it, ladies and gentlemen. We love to see it. We bebop in this house. Toxic bullets change from 5% of current to 2.5% of max. So nerf at full health, buff at. You could probably run the graph on this one, depending on like if you have 100 health, or so if you have 1,000 max health, you'll take 25 damage always, whereas if you have 1,000 you would at a certain point it would be less. It would the line is different. You could graph it. I'm explaining it poorly, but you understand. It's consistent instead of curving. Shadow weave detection range increased. probably fair. Glass cannon health loss reduce, so it's a buff to glass cannon. We love to see that. Frenzy perk buff increase. That's quite a bit of increase. Low HP bullet resist increase 55%. I mean, that's a. It's already kind of an underrated item. I think this will push it into certain character metas. I think obviously you want to buy it on like lifesteal characters because you want to stay alive in that range. Because they also buff the range in which it activates. Silence and granting spirit resist. We do love to see that. Another thing that's in because it's that's a buff because it's upgrades from slowing bullets. It's a buff to that path. It's something you want to see. 4-second buff. That's chill. Okay. Extra health slide buff. Healing right. They've been doing this the entire time. They've just been trying to extend it over and over and over and over because they don't want people just using healing right, sitting in the corner and just chilling for 10 seconds and then being at full health, which I understand, but it's gonna happen until they change it because they're trying to buff people to use different items instead. But I still think healing right's gonna stay meta because it just does like one job very well, you know. Extra regen is still valuable, but I mean you can't match it. Like because if you start with extra regen, then it's better. I think if you buy healing right responsively, it works way better because you can activate it and it works in that instance, right? So okay. Combat barrier buff, debuff, reducer buff. These are just good, like small changes. Healbane buff. We need Healbane buff, I think. In general, we need anti-heal buffs. Just because at a certain level, it just feels like it does nothing. But maybe that's just me. Reactive barrier restores stamina. That's good, so you can get the fuck out of there. Bebop counter players, rushing and reactive barrier. You've been blessed on this one. Buff on spirit armor. They've added melee resistance and restorative locket. I think this could be good. This could be good. It could be worth buying on like on certain lanes. I can see if you're laning against like Abrams, you get restorative locket, you get melee resistance, and you get health procs. Let's chill. Divine barrier no longer has ability range. That's good. I think it shouldn't have ever really. Spirit power is probably a fair. They like shifted restorative locket's power to the divine barrier. I like that. Metal skin no longer blocks melee damage. That's actually a pretty big nerf. People using metal skin against Abrams and stuff doesn't show up anymore. You want to save the proc for actual bullet heroes. Like previously, you could get away with using it against Abrams because it actually did work. That's pretty big. Debuff remover buff. We love to see it. Item that does one job does the job better. We love to see it. Veilwalker buff. They nerfed it a little while ago, like 2-3 weeks ago, maybe longer. And I think it got underbought as a result of that. I think because while it does like the refresh on shields is nice, I do think people bought it a lot because of its like other utility, like weapon damage. Because if you don't have a lot of weapon slots, you want to buy other stuff that buffs your weapon. So I think they're trying to find a balance on that. Fortitude buff. I mean, listen, if you ever run in Fortitude, you got my blessing. I'm a big fan, especially since they introduced the upgrade path. Very happy. Slide buff to life strike, etc. Soul rebirth removed from the game. Oh, soul rebirth removed from the game, ladies and gentlemen. I gotta screenshot this. Soul rebirth removed from the game. Must rip bozo, rip absolute bozo. I think deserved. I think the idea of soul rebirth is nice. I just think it's they tried to balance it with an increased respawn time. The problem is one return respawn, especially on certain characters. Like a soul rebirth on Shiv is fucking broken as fuck because you spawn back up and you still have all your like your bloodletting, so you can take less damage, etc., etc. And I just think they might come back to it. They might try and add another item, but I don't think. I think it's perfectly fair. They're gonna. It's the think about later type of problem. Inhibitor nerf. That's a shame, but it'll still be good because of the damage output reduction. That's kind of a primary purpose. Siphon bullets now grants weapon damage. Never mind, I'm buying siphon bullets instead. They've continually buffed siphon bullets into relevancy. It was already good beforehand on a lot of characters. If you have free vitality slots, or if you want to just put it in a flex slot, I mean, this is a golden item for a lot of characters. Plus the weapon damage. It's enticing. Phantom Strike grounds flying targets on impact. Great for... who is it that runs this? Moan Crow, Pocket maybe? Stuff like this. Counters Vindicta, obviously. Counters Great Helen in the air, as if we needed more counters for Great Helen in the air. Because they also nerf Great Helen in general. More duration increases on Ammo Scavenger, which is essentially a buff, I think, for duration for how it works. Because it takes so long to build up, now it's kind of, you want to buy it early so that you always have it active, is what they kind of want to push there. Mystic Best triggers on your base damage rather than how much the target receives. I didn't know that it was how it worked, because I've been calculating, everyone's been calculating it based off of what's in your view, your HUD. So I think this is just like, they realized we had the wrong one. We calculated the wrong number. Give me a sec. That's good, I think. It just makes it more transparent. A lot of changes here. Or no, it's just a lot of words, maybe. Slowing Hex now uses Enduring Spirit as a component. Hold on, I gotta open the game up for that one. How does that update path look? I can just Google the Deadlock items. Enduring Spirit is... am I crazy? Slowing Hex is... but did they change it? How does that work? Did I... hold on. But Enduring Spirit is not a spirit item. That's why my confusion is like present. Enduring Spirit is a vitality item. Slowing Hex is a... how does that work? Does it change? I have to see how this works. My game is updating as I speak. I'm losing my mind a bit trying to figure this one out. What is going on? Okay, we'll look at that in later. If that's because Enduring Spirit's already a nice item to get early game. I was under the impression that because it's so strong early game, it doesn't have an upgrade path because it's kind of, that's your trade-off. If that doesn't turn out to be the case and you can upgrade it to Slowing Hex, I mean, that's something. That's something. Also, is this the first 500 item to get an upgrade to a 1250 item? I need to see how this works in, like, how things like actually play out in the buy menu. Hold on a second. Yeah, I'm gonna launch Deadlock here. So give me a second to actually show you. Okay, so I'm in the training mode right now. Enduring Spirit, we have it we can see one vitality item, and then I buy Slowing Hex and it just moves. It moves. I don't know how I feel about that. It is as described, but I don't know how to feel about it. Okay, so basically the summary of this change is it's a better nerf. Obviously, it grants you this stuff because this stuff is what's in Enduring Spirit, right? So Slowing Hex now costs 1750 instead of 1250. It now takes an upgrade path from a vitality item. So you buy a vitality, like you saw what I just described. That's kind of a crazy. I've never seen that. So I'm curious as to what the hell that all means. So in any case, descriptively speaking, I mean, that's mind-boggling. Okay. I think buff slash nerf. I think it's most of enough because you're 3% here, but 50 spirit damage, you're going to be dealing a bit more damage in that percentage difference by bullet damage anyway. So this is kind of it's a nerf and a buff. It's a rework. Decay now grants ability duration. That's neat, I guess. 70%. Okay, decay is going to be the primary thing that people are going to be buying for reducing healing. 70% healing reduction on decay is kind of cracked, as well as cooldown reduction. Like, no one really cares about the bleed damage the bleed damage for decays. You buy it for the healing reduction, so you just press it, and the Abrams doesn't regen all his health, or the McGinnis, or etc., right? So that's kind of crazy. Decay is on the menu, especially for, like, I'm a big fan of all that. Improved cooldown now grants more ammo. Yummers, in my opinion, yummers. They nerfed the reduction of cooldown, but they're buffing the utility of it in general. I like that. As well as superior cooldown. I don't know why they're doing it, but I'm happy to see it. And again, they're just trying to find the right percentage on this one to make it not too broken, but I mean, that's fine. Same change for improved best as the previous one. Magic Carpet grants ability range. I mean, that's just nice to have. You're buying Magic Carpet for one reason, it needs to fly around. Okay, a bunch of hero changes to round us off. So, Abrams, they changed the melee attack back to how it used to be. I think it was kind of overkill. As well as someone who hates playing against an Abrams because it's just annoying. I think this is still fair. The shoulder charge, momentum, and strafing changes back to how it used to be, and now it carries momentum at the end of the charge. I'm curious as to how that looks. I assume that means that you fling someone, or you keep moving, which is good for escaping. Because previously, if you charge to escape, this I know, you would just be stuck at the end of your charge instead of like continuing to run a bit fast, which is fair. That one has spirit scaling increase. We didn't need that, but I'm sure. Let's chill. Regen reduced, but duration increase. So it's just like, so these are very small changes. So not a big deal. Slight buffs, I would say, to Abrams, putting Abrams back to basically where he was. Okay, Bebop. Increased impact sticky bomb buff. Decreased kill buff. So just bringing it a bit closer to standard stuff. Tier 3 change from disarm to minus 30% damage penalty. That's enough for some. It's a buff. It's enough for when you're buying it against like a gun build team, and it's a buff because if you were using it against like a haze, it was amazing to be able to disarm a haze with the bomb, because you could pull in disarm and then you could beam them down, or like double bomb them if you're doing spirit build, because I play gun build, right? So this is, it's a buff for a lot of cases, but it's a huge nerf in very specific scenarios, and I think it means you're gonna have to be a little bit more defensive against gun builds, because like, especially against a haze, you can't just hook in a haze or like a wraith. I think you might need to buy like metal skins if you're gonna hook them in and use it on yourself, something like this, so that you don't just get gunned down. But other than that, I think that's fair. Okay. Hook damage reduction has spirit scaling. Hook damage is irrelevant. Because it's literally like nothing. I hate to say it. Hyper Beam now goes on cooldown for 3 seconds when cancelled during precast. I didn't even know you could cancel it during precast. Every single time that's happened, I think I've been interrupted or I've just died. So the time window didn't really matter to me. I think that's fair. You know, I think that's fair. 2x cost range when used on allies. That's kind of sick. It gives an actual reason to do it. Someone can go in with a bomb and like try and bomb snipe someone. You can send in like an Abrams with a bomb. That'd be nice. I think that's good. Overall, it seems like it's actually mostly an overall buff, as well as this calculation thing for item combos, which is just like a math thing, really. But I think overall a buff, because the bombs for 5 seconds minus 30%, it means that someone who's going to spam all their abilities against you is not going to do as much damage, but the gun builds are going to cook you a little bit. So it's something to think about more than it is like a buff or enough. But I think it's a buff overall. Okay. Dynamo survivability a bit better. 14% bullet resist after boons is kind of sick. but I don't know how much it matters at the end of it. I think it's better than nothing. But Dynamo is kind of a large hitbox tank, so it makes sense to get some bullet resist. And base ability now deals 1.5% max HP. That's just nice to have. It makes it better early game, do a better damage maybe. I mean, it's not like it was necessary. Big, great Helen nerfs. Base bullet damage nerf, but boon increase, so late game damage is the same, but early damage is less, which is fair, I think, because early game, if you just pressed your flight and you flew over their heads, you could deal a lot of it. You could burst him down with a couple of headshots to that dome, and it was pogged off. Slightly worse fall off, so we're going to be buying long range anyway, so that's chill for us, but it's still enough for sure. Rain of arrows straight difference was time reduced by 30%. We hate to see that. They buffed him and then they nerfed him. They realized it was too much to be flying around. And also it now it means you can't like rely on having like stamina and just being able to fall back instantly. You need to actually position yourself carefully. Because previously, before they made this change in Talon, it was very easy to be in the air. You have some stamina, but you get caught off and you can't retreat far enough because you're in the air, right? And then with that change where they increased the strafe distance in the air with the flight ability, you could easily go like spam all your stam, go back, and no one could catch you. Now you have to be a little bit careful, as well as the fall off range increased and the hitbox size of the charge shot being reduced, which is fair. I think I've caught a bit too many of the easy frags, but we have good aim, so we're still good, surely. But that's chill. I think these are deserved nerfs. I think I'm still going to be playing Great Helen because I like it. But overall, saying total damage for there's no damage nerfs really. It's just a bit of utility nerfs. You just need to be a little bit better and mind your positioning, and you could still be fine. But it does hurt. And I think it pushes him out of like the pro range, maybe. It becomes a hobbyist hero. Like what I've been doing with it the whole time. Okay. Bullet does no longer hits 2 targets, but now grants fire rate buff and allows you to use items during it as if we fucking needed that. Can you... I just hope this gets reverted just because it'll be really annoying. It'll be really annoying. Now, no longer hitting 2 targets is great for team fights, but in the mid game, that's not really my concern. You know? It's going to be better against solo targets, but that's like very unfun. There's a period of time where you can play against a Haze or a Wraith where it's just very annoying. It's where you don't have enough to justify immediately going for like middle skin, but you still need to fight them in some manner of speaking. And as soon as they get close to you, even if they don't hit their sleep dagger, you just get ulted and you die because there's no counterplay for a lot of characters, right? So I think it's just going to be very annoying in the mid game. Late game, you have the items to counter it, you have a team to fight, and then it'll be nerfed. Late game, which is I think fair because Haze late game is pretty strong. But mid game is just going to be as annoying as it was, even more annoying. Sleep Dagger tier 3 close targets to wake up with minus 40% fire rate. Sleep Dagger, considering how in late game everyone's going to be waking up quickly anyway because damage is flying across the entire map, it's okay because you're going to be woken up pretty quickly in late game, so that's chill. Infernus nerfs. The slow was too much, so that's fair. Afterburn build-up reduced. That's also fair. I think that's fine. I wouldn't say it was immediately necessary, but it's okay. I have no problem with the Infernus nerf. Buffs on Watcher's Covenant for Ivy. We love to see a bit of an Ivy buff. It's actually a pretty significant buff because it's like a 50% buff, statistically speaking, but I don't know how much it actually matters. Ground strike can be classified on the zipline. Unnecessary, but it could be fun. It could be content. That's for sure. Okay. Ground strike now pulls enemies to the ground with you. That is a definite buff. Because you could always be in the air. So now you can actually like slam a Vindicta or a Great Talon. You press your rope that jumps you in the air, your vault or whatever it's called, I forgot the ability name. You jump into the air, you press your slam, and you bring them down with you. It's like a mini ult, which is very neat. But it's going to be pathetically annoying. and the dodge ability of it is very limited. So now you can, I mean, I know they nerfed Majestic Leap, but you Majestic Leap, you bring someone down, and you get their ass. I think it's a good change because the entire, like with knockdown and everything, they want to minimize the annoyance of a character being in the air, because being in the air is kind of a hard to hit, like top down, difficult for a lot of characters to deal with it. But a lot of the characters I like go in the air, so it's rough. It's rough, but we take those, I think. Nerf to turrets, thank you. Unnecessary. Bullet size reduced. Was a bit too easy to hit headshots, I think that's fair. Speed of tornado reduced, I think it's still going to be pretty hard to dodge it in close range where it's going to be used anyway. Lift duration slightly reduced. Negligible, I would say. Bullet resist. Fire scarabs, that's fair. I think it might change the upgrade order a little bit to Jin's Mark builds a bit more. Okay, Paradox buff. For some reason, Paradox keeps getting buffs. I don't understand it. Okay. But I think Time Wall is getting reworked a bit. But something has to have charges, right? Paradox bullet velocity increase, so that's a huge early game buff because it's very hard to deny and claim orbs early game without HVM as Paradox, so I think that's fair. Time Wall no longer has charges, deals max out damage, but it's a cooldown buff. I see it. Time to complete the swap reduced by quite a bit. I don't know if this is actually a buff or a nerf. Let me think about this. It has to be a buff because when it's properly used, you're going to be jumping on with your team. And if you know you're the one hitting it, so reaction time basis, you're going to get melted by the enemy team on a swap quicker. You have less time to come to your team that a Paradox is swapped in. Paradox has more time because they're the one using it. They're going to be preloading like a Warp Stone or whatever the item they want to use to get out. So I think it's a big buff. And overall, I'm curious to see whether, because Time Wall with charges, I don't think anyone was really buying extra charge Time Wall. So I don't think that's an issue for them. So I think this is just overall a big buff. Paradox's early game is a bit stronger and Paradox's late game is a bit stronger. Overall, I don't see Paradox. They've constantly been buffing because I think a lot of people play Paradox because Paradox is a cool character to play, but Paradox is also very hard to play, very positional. You need a lot of utility items. You need to have good, like, instincts. You can't be wasting your ults, and you obviously also need decent enough aim to hit everything. So, an early game, if you struggle early game, you'll never get the items you need for late game. So you need to survive the early game. Like if you watch MKLS play, even MKLS will have trouble in the early game. We discusses like, you know, that it is worse playing Paradox early game, where the late game Paradox is of course a monster. And I'm familiar with that enough. I understand it, so that's fair. But base build them. Okay, now to Pocket. Barrage spell scale increased, light melee damage increased. I don't know if Pocket needed that. We'll see. I don't think Pocket needed that, frankly speaking. But Barrage does kind of become useless late game, so that's maybe why. Vindicta, they reworked it to grow more and start weaker, which I think is fair. Stake duration slightly increased. No, since they increased the range of movability, so characters can dodge around and roll. So I think it's fair to make it last a bit longer. Because not recently, when I've been stuck in a Vindicta stick, I haven't felt like I've been left for dead. Like I was in the earlier iterations where the radius was very tiny. So I think that's fair to make it last a bit longer, maybe get a bit more damage so they can get the snipe off. Flight duration reduced a bit, reasonable. Assassinate starts at 25% instead of 50%. That's a huge nerf. Because now you need to get someone much lower before they take insane damage. That's a really big nerf. Now you don't need to be worried about being close to half health, because previously if you're close to half health, you don't want to go out in front of a Vindicta in the sky. Because if Vindicta's in the sky and you're close to half health, you're gonna get tagged down just a little bit and then you're gonna get snapped to death, because it's just over for you. If you're not like insane movability character, right? Like if I'm playing Bebop and a Vindicta has me at like half health, and unless I get the hook off or I've already bought knockdown and I'm gonna use the combo on that, I don't want to go out into the open because it's just troubling, right? Especially if they've got a bit of a soul lead on you. But now I think you have a lot more room to play with. You have a bit more time before you're screwed. And I think that's a really good buff to everybody else, not enough to Vindicta. So that's reasonable. Cube health regen now scales with spirit. I think that's a buff because I think it means it gets more in general. Goo bull down dash move to base ability. I think that's fair because it's a base ability in all heroes, so it makes sense. Bull size increases with range upgrades. It doesn't affect world collision. Gets bigger, but not for you, just for them. Does it? It doesn't affect world collision. Does it affect being hit? Maybe it doesn't matter. It's easy to hit anyway. But that could be. I want to see what the build looks like. Hold on, I have Deadlock open. I can test this. Let me see. Okay, so we're playing Viscous. This is base orb size, right? Okay, let's get out of there. Now let's buy all the range upgrades that we can.
If you like that,
that we can do. Let's improve the reach of the Goo Ball. Let's buy Magic Carpet because I think it does do that. Sure.
Keep your blood on the inside.
This is all we have, right? Jesus Christ, that is that. I can't control this thing, by the way. This is okay. This is that's something.
I'll cover the battle. I'm being sneaky.
That is. Okay, well, listen. I mean, you can see where the hitbox is like cuts into the corner here. Like, if I can, I'm not a Viscous player, so you excuse this movement here. Like, you can look at that. It's cutting into the damn walls. So, in short, people will. I can see people doing. I can see people ball maxing a little bit. I can see this. I don't know if it needed more range, but this is gonna be a fun build for sure. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Okay, Warden has now got +1 sprint. I think that's fair because he's kind of sucks otherwise. No longer grants you unstoppable, but gives you spirit resist during channel. I think that's probably a buff. Now goes on cooldown if you die or if it's interrupted while cast. So like it treats it as if it got hit. I think that's a nerf in general, obviously, but I don't think it matters. Most of the time you don't get interrupted during it. And especially since now you're going to get spirit resist as well, it's going to be harder to do so. But now you can go back to buying unstoppable as Warden. If you need to. Bullet velocity, holy bullet velocity buff. I almost missed that. That's a huge buff. That's a huge buff because it was really hard to hit. It was the same problem as Paradox, but not as bad, I think. Early game Warden improved. Gun build Warden improved. Interesting. Because gun build Warden, you don't care about your ult, really. You just use it. Okay, telekinesis cost time and damage reduced. I assume this is the ult, right? Yeah, the ult damage is not the big problem. The time it lets you stay in the air is the problem, so this is really negligible to me. Shadow transformation affects grapple time, speed, duration increase. No longer prevents death. That's huge. Hold on, this is a big Yamato rework. No longer prevents death. Now grants you a lot of resist. Now heals you. And now extends by 2 seconds whenever you get a kill for it. Oh my god. Okay, so this is like ultimate like high risk, high reward gameplay. You can no longer use Yamato ult to save yourself from dying and leave. Because it's gonna kill you, you're gonna die. But now offensive Yamato ults, where you're on like half health, you wanna go in, you get kills, and it just extends your ult. You can go for an insane team-wide play. I think this is a good change because the most annoying part about fighting a Yamato on ult was that basically both of you were just playing a waiting game. You knew that you couldn't kill the Yamato until the I don't know why I'm switching between like saying it Japanese style and saying it accent style. Yamato, like I'm cooked on that one, but in any case, it used to be before that you would just wait it out. You would try to live and run. And then as soon as the Yamato ult like was about to run out, Yamato would suddenly start to run because Yamato's like, oh shit, I can't finish this kill. This overall, I think this is a good rework. I think it's a change to how people play it a little bit, but I think it's a buff because of the healing is good. Their bullet and spirit resist is gonna be pathetically annoying, and extending by 2 seconds for each kill is kind of cracked. It's kind of a version of Shift Alt cooldown resetting apart from when you get a kill. It extends your duration. And it also means you do have 2 more seconds to run away because you do still have resistance upon running away. So, and that combined with like refresher. Oh my god. The refresher build is gonna go crazy. Okay, look forward to your refresher Yamato being in ult for like 25 seconds. 25 seconds. It lasts, base value is 6 seconds. 6, 8, 10. Literally could get 20-second ult on Yamato. I died to the troopers. Okay. But you can't hear that because I have my desktop audio muted. Okay. So overall, a lot of very, very interesting changes. Most important things, quick buy is great. Hero kills are more valuable. Kill hunters rewarded. Camp changes are nice. In terms of items, decay buff seems pretty neat to me. Slowing hex very interesting to see because I think it increases the cost for buy 500 for people who otherwise wouldn't be buying Enduring Spirit. And we usually see whether they'll keep a strategy of upgrade parts that cross the barrier of item categories. Very interesting. And hero changes, Great Talon, pretty big nerfs. Paradox, it looks like a buff to me. And Warden, not Warden, well, a small change we've covered, but Yamato rework will be very interesting. I think it's a buff. My opinion says it's a buff. And yeah, I mean, happy deadlocking. Let me know what you think about these changes, if you think they're good, bad, what you think it happened to the meta, etc. Especially if you're a top level player, very interested to see what your feedback is. And yeah, enjoy. We'll see you guys in the Big Apple, the Cursed Apple. Yes, the Cursed Apple, New York, but magic style. Yeah.